All right. All right. I'm so excited to have you guys here. Welcome to our new coach call. I'm going to start doing these more consistently every single month so that you guys that are new, my plan is to not only do this first call, but to do 2 follow-up calls for new coaches. So this first call is going to kind of go over a lot of the most important basics for getting started. And then the second call is going to be doing a live power hour together. So if you've been looking at the business activity tracker and you're like, I don't know what any of this means or how to do any of this, that's going to be the second call. And then the third call, my plan is to just kind of do a rundown of social media basics. So how to start sharing your story, how to start adding value, how to kind of plan content that's going to connect to the women that you want to connect with and the people you want to serve, so that you feel like it's easier, because I'm a big, I think your content and how you show up on social media has a lot to do with the outcomes that you're getting in your messages behind the scenes and with the invites you're sending and in your ability to connect with people. So how does that sound to you guys? I'm so excited to see so many beautiful faces. If you guys don't mind, if you would post in the comments who your coach is, if you're not mine, because I like to know, and how long you've been coaching for, because I think it's cool. I know we have some coaches that have been around a little while and are just really diving in, and we have some coaches that are brand new. But this way, if you're, oh, and by the way, I'm trying to look at all the faces here, but if you're not in our new coach pod yet that I kicked off over the weekend and you want me to add you, just let me know and I can add you to that tonight. Emily, I know your face. Awesome. Yes, Declan. I love that you're back. Cool. Okay. All right, let's kick off. Welcome, everybody. So excited to have you here. And just to introduce myself, in case you don't know me, I'm Dana. I have been a coach for 6.5 years now. Empowerly is the team that I founded. So whether you are here via Aspire Nation or via Empowered Elite, or you're my coach, it's awesome to have you on. And I just want to quickly share my intent for starting this new coach pod that I started. It's a messenger group on Facebook. But my whole goal with that is to really kind of create connections and foster the community, because I know when I was a brand new coach, I'm sure if you've been on a Meet the Team or heard a Meet the Team, you know a little bit about my story. But when I started my business, I was 6 months into becoming a single mom. And I was really at a crossroads in my life. And I know for me, when I got plugged into a new coach training and I started to kind of immerse myself in the community and connect with other coaches, that was when things really started to shift for me, because it's kind of scary when you're behind your computer screen and you're doing it all alone, and you don't know what you're doing and you're always questioning yourself. And I know just having that like support and the camaraderie and the ability to ask questions or say, hey, how does this post sound? Or how do I respond to this message? Is super helpful. It's also really fun because you're going to get to know other new coaches on the team, and really bond and create friendships. And as most of you probably hear us say all the time, like the community and the friendships of coaching are one of the best parts of it. I have made some of my absolute best friends from coaching that were once total strangers on social media. So I will encourage you guys to just embrace getting to know each other. And if there's a coach in that pod that you feel like you have similar goals to, or a similar personality, or you have similar jobs and like life schedules, don't hesitate to reach out to people and connect with them, and or friend request each other, so that you can all be supporting each other on your your posts and your stories and all that good stuff. So is everybody ready to dive in? I have about 8 things that we're going to cover tonight. And then at the end, if you have questions, or you have specific, like a fear that you're trying to work through, or whatever it is, I'm happy to go through any of those things. It's honestly It's one of my favorite things about what we do. So, okay. The first thing that we're gonna talk about, and if you're in the new coach pod, then you know that I already prompted you to kind of think about your why and some of your goals, like 10 business / personal goals. And I'm gonna go a little bit more into that in the next part. But the first thing is, and when I first came into this business, and I remember Elizabeth Hartkey talking about having a vision for your life and having a why for your business. And I was like, well, I just want to help people and I want to be able to stay home with my baby. I was never a dreamer. I was never really a goal setter before I came into this business. So that was very new for me to have to sit down and think like, what is it I actually want for my life? And I think that's one of the coolest things about network marketing is that you now have the vehicle and the tools and the community and the support system to really bring anything that you desire in your life to reality if you are willing to work for it. I knew from day one that I wanted to be full-time coach. I knew right from the get-go. I know that not everybody is in a scenario where they want to be a full-time coach. Maybe you love your job and you're just doing this for the accountability and to make a little extra income. Maybe you would like to, pay off debt, or you would like to travel more, or you'd really like to be able to like lessen your work hours so that you can be more present with your family and your kids. There's no right or wrong when it comes to figuring out a why for your business. But here's the thing. Without having an emotional driver to connect to for your business, you're not going to show up when it's hard. And so getting clarity on this, like even if right now when I'm saying this to you, you're like, I have no idea what that is. That's totally fine. It might take you a little while to actually figure out what that is. But here's the beauty of it once you figure out what that is. It's going to evolve and grow with you as you go. And as you start to hit goals and achieve things, that why and that vision is going to have to evolve with you, right? Because 6.5 years in, what I want now is very different than what I started. But the thing is, that why for me has always driven, like, think about it like this. When you're in a really great mood and like things are going well in your life, it's pretty easy to show up for your journey and to post on social media and to connect to people and hop on calls, right? But when life gets hard or things happen or you get rejected or you have a, hold on a second.
Do not touch this.
Mom life. Or when you have things that don't go your way, or even, here's a great example, because I experienced this so many times and so will you. When you experience failure, as in you push for a really massive goal in your business and it doesn't happen by the date that you want it to, or you miss it by like an inch, it sucks, right? But if you have that connection to the longer term vision and that bigger why for your business, you're going to keep going, because what it helps you have is the faith to know that if you just keep going, no matter what, no matter how many times you fail or fall flat on your face, or you have a tough season of life, that you are moved by continuing to progress towards that bigger goal. Does that make sense? Okay. What's the other thing I wanted to tell you about this? Oh, a good question to ask yourself is, where do you see yourself a year from now? And like, dream big, but also be realistic, right? I think there's a little bit of, it has to be a big dream and something you want to push for, but it also has to be something doable and realistic for the amount of time that you have to work the business, and depending what your life schedule looks like right now. Because you don't want to be pushing too hard and too fast and burn out, but you also don't want to not be challenging yourself, because this business is most fun. I heard Colleen Curtis, if you know her, she was one of the coaches that ran my new coach training. And she said, fast is fun in this business. And it's absolutely true, because when you are kicking ass in your journey and you're getting results and you're sharing that with people and you're starting to have people respond to that and be inspired, and you're helping others and you're starting to hit Success Club, and like you start to have all those small wins, that's when the business is fun. And even more so when you start to have challengers that you're starting to coach and coaches that are starting to join you, and so on and so forth, right? Tiptoeing is not fun. Okay, so how does everybody feel about the why exercise? Do you feel like that's something you need to work on and kind of dig a little deeper into, or do you feel like you're like, I already know what it is? Show of hands. Do we know what it is? It's totally fine if you don't. This is why I'm prompting you to think about it. Okay. I like this answer because that's kind of how I was too. Okay, moving on. The second thing, and this is something I heard recently. So when we had our online coach summit, we had Trent Shelton as one of our speakers. If you don't listen to Trent's podcast, you should. It's called Straight Up. And it's kind of a mix of tough love and truth bombs, but also it like speaks life and confidence into you in a way that like no other podcast does for me. He's amazing. But he was one of our guest speakers for Coach Summit, right? And one of the things he said that really stood out to me, because it's something that I feel like I had adapted in my business that has helped me be successful, but it was not necessarily something that I knew I was doing, is he said, don't just set goals, set standards, right? So I used to always say, and I no longer am going to tell people what to do in their business. I'm going to guide you and encourage you and tell you the things that I know to be true to help you have success in your business. But ultimately, what you decide to make for goals and standards in your business are up to you. Like, you're the CEO. Your coach is not your boss. I am not your boss. Like, you are the CEO of an incredible business that you get to decide what you do with it, right? And I love that he said, set standards, not goals, because with goals, I feel like, kind of going back to that first point, is that when things are hard, we tend to kind of scale back and give up on our goals, right? But when we have standards, for example, here's a simple example. I will do my business activity tracker 5 days a week. That is my standard right now. Considering we're in a diamond dash, it's been my standard to try and get it done 7 days a week. But 5 days a week is my personal standard, right? It is my standard to be consistent on social media and sharing my stories every day. It is my standard to constantly be growing, whether that is listening to personal development or podcasts, right? Like, there are certain standards that you have that help you take the actions that are what are going to ultimately help you become successful and achieve the goals that you're setting. So it's less focus on the outcome and it's more focus on the standards of the habits that are going to get you to your goals. Does that make sense? That like clicked in my brain, where I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so genius, right? Because then it's something we have control over. Like, we have the standard of character of how we're deciding that we're going to show up for this. And in doing that, you're going to get to your goals. So, that was my simple example, the 5 days a week business activity tracker. But I would encourage you to think about some standards that you would like to have for your business and what those are going to look like for you, depending on what pace you are intending to work your business. So are you working it as a hobby? Are you working it to be part-time? Or are you eventually inspired to become a full-time coach? Like, what are your standards going to be for that? Okay. With that said, in the realm of standards, I've heard this a lot and I think it's so great, but being your own best challenger. So imagining if you had a challenger come on board and you were like, this is my ideal challenger, right? They show up every day in my challenge group. They're excited. They're supporting other people. They're cheering each other on. Like, they're working through their struggles. They're pushing through their excuses. They're asking for help when they need it and being vulnerable when they're struggling. Like, working to be our own best challengers. And why I say this is because once you become a coach and this becomes a business for you, right? We can tend to kind of forget like what started us here, where we came into this, most of us, we started coaching because of the transformation we had, whether it was physically, mentally, emotionally. Like, you felt more confident, you lost weight, you were inspired, and you were like, I want to give this feeling to other people, right? And that feeling and that passion and that connection and that belief to what we do is something that we always have to continue fostering, because it's a vital behavior for a reason, being a product of the product. But I like to think of it more as you are consistently showing up for yourself and being that example and being that best challenger for yourself, because then you're always going to have overflow and that excitement and that passion and that energy to therefore share with other people. That's going to fuel your business. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 3, and I saw Savannah. Where are you, Savannah? I saw Savannah post in our new coach pod about personal development, and I've also seen Robin share about this in there. And I can tell you from watching them and knowing them when they started versus to where they are now, it is a noticeable difference in their attitudes, their energy, like their confidence in themselves, their ability to say, like, I'm going to tackle this and I'm going to do it, like that belief in themselves. And I know both of them mentioned the importance of personal development. It is, again, one of our vital behaviors. If you don't know what I'm talking about with vital behaviors, they're all on this tracker, which we're going to go over on the next call. But if you haven't seen it, it's in the Action Takers training page. But personal development to me, and if you're looking at me being like, personal development, I don't need personal development books. I was totally you when I was a new coach. I was like, I don't need to read self-help books. Like, I've got this figured out. And then I read 2 books. I read The Compound Effect and I read The Gift of Imperfections. And they spoke to me so deeply. And that forever changed everything for me, because if you know me now, you know I'm like a PD junkie, right? But the cool thing about personal development when it comes to our business specifically, not just like growing yourself as a person, changing your thoughts, changing your habits, all those things. But I like to think of it as like we have empty space in our heads, right? Like everybody's brain is going all the time, like chitter chatter, like self-talk, right? Or you just have empty space where like there's a lot going on in the world right now, and there's a lot coming at us, and a lot of changes and a lot of stressors, right? Especially moms and going back to school and all these things going on. And I know for me that my default naturally was not necessarily a positive one. And one of the best gifts that personal development has given me is like the ability to think differently, to be solution oriented, to look for the opportunity in struggles, to work to be consistent instead of just saying I can't do that, or to dig into things that I know I struggle with so that I can be better in my life and in my business. And when you start to dig into personal development, what you're going to find is a lot of the fears that you have as a new coach, whether it's I'm afraid of judgment, or I'm afraid to share this on social media, or I'm afraid to reach out to that person, or I'm afraid of, what others are going to think of me when I'm starting a network marketing business, or whatever, right? There's a million things. When you start to do personal development, you're going to start to develop a confidence in yourself and this like positive attitude that you've probably never really experienced before, that's going to give you a whole new confidence level to not have no fears, because that's not reality, but to kind of give yourself that one up of like, I'm going to step outside my comfort zone just a little bit. And every time I do that, I get a little more courageous. And so when you have the match of the personal growth with the little baby action steps you're taking to get out of your comfort zone, all of a sudden you figure out you're capable of way more, right? And you're starting to see results. And it's like this spiral of like all good things starting to happen when you dig in and you work on yourself. So with that said, I'm curious how many of you have started doing personal development yet? Don't be ashamed if you don't raise your hand, because I told you I was very anti at the beginning too. Okay, so 2 books that I would suggest to you as new coaches. Number 1 is The Compound Effect. This book was a game changer for me. It's probably one of the most profound books I've ever read in my life, because I always just said I'm not a consistent person. And the reality is we're all consistent. We're either just consistent with the habits that are giving us the outcomes we want, or we're consistent with the habits that are not, right? And those teeny, tiny, seemingly small, insignificant little choices that we make every single day, from working out to what we eat, to what time we go to bed, to what we do in our businesses, those are the things that are going to change your life, but they're also going to be the things that change your business, right? This business is not built in big leaps. It is built in tiny, small, little actions that you take consistently over time that are going to compound something that you probably can't even dream of right now. So that's the first one, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And the second one is called Get Over Your Damn Self. I think her name is Rumi. I'll have to post it for you guys. But it's kind of like a basic intro into network marketing, what this business actually is, what the potential of it is, how you can be successful as a new network marketer. And it has some really, really good insights, especially if you know really nothing about network marketing in the business, and the potential of the business. Okay, so everybody, can you promise that you're going to commit to at least 10 minutes a day of personal development from here on out? Because I promise that habit alone, it is, like I said, small, insignificant, doesn't take a ton of time, 10 minutes a day, but that 10 minutes a day will absolutely start to change so much for you, I promise. And I can't wait till you tell me, like a month or two from now, how much. Okay, number 4, who knows what Success Club is as of the moment? I know some of you probably have seen the boards and the team page, or like, I don't know what that is or how to achieve it, but I kind of want to do it, right? Okay, so Success Club is it's a system in our business that Beachbody created to basically help us gauge how we're growing our businesses every single month, right? Like I said in the beginning, there is nobody telling you have to do anything. This is absolutely 100% your business, what you decide to do. If you want to build a successful business, I will suggest that Success Club is a goal for you. I have been a coach, like I said, for 6.5 years now. I have hit Success Club in my business every single month except 1 month in last fall, which crushed me. I was very sick last fall, and it just, I did everything I could and I didn't get there. And it honestly was kind of mentally freeing after, hitting it for 6 years, to let myself know that I could miss it and I could still survive and my business would still go on, right? So don't beat yourself up if you haven't hit it yet, or if you've gotten close and you missed it. Just keep on moving. Like, the faster you can bounce back from failures, the better off you're going to be in the long run. But Success Club has absolutely been a critical part of building a successful business for me. It is ensuring that you are consistently helping new people every single month. It is, number one, as a brand new coach, it's going to be helping you to pay for your own Shakeology, right? Your own product, which is important. And then it opens the door to all these cool perks like recognition at Summit and Success Club trips that we earn every single year. And if you are a brand new coach, meaning you just recently signed up, if you hit Success Club in your first 3 out of the 6 months of being a brand new coach, you have the ability to earn a ticket to Coach Summit. That was how I attended my first summit. I didn't intend on going until I earned a ticket. And then I was like, well, I guess I have to be there. Summit is the most life-changing event you will ever get to. I hope that you register, even if you don't earn that ticket, so that we can meet you next year. But just so that you know, Success Starters program, go FAQ it, or you can go look in our action takers. It's in that page, what that is. And where's Savannah on here? Is Savannah still on? Yes, she is. Savannah is in month 2 out of 3 working towards her Success Starters ticket. So it is totally possible. And what Success Club means, basically we have Success Club 5 and we have Success Club 10. So how you might be wondering, how do I actually hit Success Club, right? And so the majority of how we're doing that is when you are talking to someone about their goals, which we're going to get to more in the next call when we break down the vitals, but just so you have like a basic understanding. you get 2 Success Club points for a challenge pack, right? That is most often going to be how you sign people up, because if they're just signing up with Beachbody On Demand memberships, you don't get Success Club points for that. You do get them for Shakeology auto orders, but most of the time it's a way better deal for them to sign up with an all access challenge pack, meaning they get Beachbody On Demand, Shakeology, nutrition plan, they get your coach support, they get the challenge group, right? It's the total solution is how I look at it. When someone comes to me and they need help with their goals, I always ask them questions. Again, that's in our action taker training. What do they struggle with? Do they want to lose weight? Do they have cravings? Do they know what and how to eat? All those things. And then I figure out, okay, I think MBF challenge pack would be the best solution for this person. So when someone gets started with that total solution of fitness, nutrition, and Shakeology and or Beachbody performance line, that gives you 2 Success Club points. So what does that mean? For you to be able to hit Success Club, you need to help 3 to 5 people a month. Totally doable. It's not overwhelming. It is possible for any one of you to do, and to do it consistently if you are really diving in and starting to take action on the basics in your business. Does anybody have questions about Success Club? No. Okay. All right. Moving on. Okay, this is another big thing. I'm curious how many of you are people that are, and whatever it is, it's fine. This is why I'm prompting you with this, but are you someone that feels like you learn everything and then you take action, or are you somebody that learns as you go and like doesn't need to have it all figured out to start taking action? Are you the first one? Are you the second one? Okay, I prompt you with this because a lot of times new coaches learn first. That's totally fine, Savannah. You've actually done really awesome learning as you go. um, and I say this because oftentimes when we come into something like coaching, right, and we know nothing about network marketing, about social media, about how to talk to people, about how to post things, like it can be really overwhelming. And the blessing here is that you have come into a team that has trainings and calls and resources and all of these things going on, where you're abundantly blessed with resources, almost so much that you probably get really overwhelmed by it. Am I right? And you're like, what do I do? And where do I go? And they told me to post this in my story, and they told me to do this today, and they told me to drop a GIF here and to get on this call. And all of a sudden you freeze because you're like, there's too much happening, right? We don't want to do that. So what I want to encourage you guys to do is congratulations to being here for learning, because you're learning some of the most important basics to digging in. But stay on track with us in that new coach pod, and also at your own pace, start digging into the action takers training. But this is the most important thing, is to start taking action as you go. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to know every response to people's questions. You really don't need to know a ton, except that you're really fired up about what you're doing, that you're excited to share this with people. You want to help people, and you want to make an impact, and you want to grow a business. And that's really all you need to know to get started, right? Because people are attracted to energy, and people are attracted to people that are excited about what they're doing. And I don't know about you, but if you look around what's going on in the world right now, there's, like I said, a lot of stressful things happening. And so people are gonna start to notice when you're showing up in your social media and you're raving about how good you feel and the energy you have, and how this nutrition plan is helping you get control of your stress eating, or your fitness is helping you be a more patient mom while you're homeschooling your kids or doing school drop-offs or whatever it is, right? People are drawn into people that are passionate and excited about what they're doing. It matters more that you show up that way than it does about you actually knowing what you're doing from the get-go. You're gonna learn as you go. And so yes, be willing, be coachable, start hopping on team calls and engage with the things we offer, but please do not overwhelm yourself by thinking that you need to know everything to get started and everything to have success, because when we have that type of mindset, we become a collector of knowledge, but knowledge without action does nothing for us, right? It's not useless because it is useful, but it's not actually going to give us any results or outcomes until we start putting that knowledge we're learning into action. Are we all going to commit to take action? Yes. Can I get 2 hands up, please? Okay. um, okay. So with action, one of the things I want to say, because I know we work on social media and social media world is distracting, right? You have notifications, you have dinging, you have text messages, you have all these things going on. Your kids are running around. There's like so many things. One of the things that I had to decide as a new coach, and this is going to be different for everybody, but what sacrifices you are willing to make time for your business, because you are starting a business and this is something new. And if you want it to be successful, you are going to have to put some time and some work into it, right? Like I said, this is different for everyone, depending on what your goals are, what your standards are, what type of business you're wanting to build and how much time you have to put into it. But for me, when I was a brand new coach and I knew I wanted to be full-time as quick as possible so I could be home with my baby, I was willing to make quite a lot of sacrifices, right? I was willing to give up those Netflix binges. I was willing to give up, certain nights outs on weekends. Like, I knew that those short-term sacrifices and giving up that instant gratification in the moment to be able to put into something that I was building for my future was going to pay off in the long run. And it absolutely did, because it's built us the life and the freedom that we have now. But it wasn't always that way, right? I honestly don't think that I turned the TV on for the first 3 years of my business. I kid you not. Maybe like a handful of times. I'm not saying do that. That's very drastic, but that was the choice that I made because I was in a very desperate situation as a single mom, and that was what I wanted. But I want you to encourage, on a small scale, what are some things that in your routine that you're doing right now could be a better use of your time if you were more intentional about it, right? So maybe that's, when you get your kids to bed at night, you hop on your phone and you start scrolling on Facebook, and before you know it, 45 minutes or an hour has gone by. And if we're intentional with that hour, we can use that diving into our business, right? You can use that little power pocket of time to send out some invites, or write up a post for tomorrow morning, or do some follow-ups, or catch up on a training call that you missed, right? Just start noticing how you spend those little gaps of time in between the like non-negotiable things you have to do in your life, because so often we say, I don't have time. It's not that we don't have time, right? It's not that we're just not managing our time effectively. That was the case for me. I was very much so a procrastinator and a time waster. And once I finally wanted this to work bad enough for me, and this is something I'm constantly still working on now too. I hop on and I scroll and I watch Instagram stories and all that good stuff, but I have to catch myself and say, when I am working, this is my focus time, right? So I would love to hear from you guys, if you're willing to share. What is one small thing that a habit perhaps, or some way that you're spending your time that you could get rid of that would benefit you in the long run, helping you to build your business? If you post it in the comments. Getting up early, Whitney. Yes. Oh, Seckley, I'm so glad that you shared that you got so overwhelmed by all the resources and immediately shut down and believed you were going to fail. That's why I mentioned that, because a lot of people feel that way, but you don't have to feel that way. Yes. If you, Monica said, will I please share the question again? Your kids are wild. What is one small habit that you could shift, that you could give up, something you could give up? I don't necessarily know if you like the word sacrifice or not, because it feels very intense, doesn't it? But like, what is one habit that you can shift to be able to have more time to put into actually building your business and having the outcomes that you want? Like, what is a habit that you have right now that is not serving you and you know it? And most of us are pretty damn well aware of the things that we're doing that are not helping us, right? Uh, Savannah, I love that. Podcast in the car instead of music. That's something I do as well. And every single night when I'm cooking dinner and I have 30 or 40 minutes, I most often put a podcast on. Austin, aimlessly scrolling when I could be inviting. Yes, that's a big one. And it's literally like, you have to kind of start to catch yourself in the moment. This is what I have to do when I sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get to work now. And then I'm like 10 minutes later, I'm like, like scrolling around Instagram. And I'm like, mentally, I'm like, okay, once I get this done, then I can do that. Or have you ever had like an ad pop up for something that you'd really want to shop for, and I like click the browser open and then I'm like, okay, my reward for when I get this done is that I can go look at that website. But until my work is done, I will not do it. And you kind of have to start noticing yourself when you start scrolling or you're procrastinating, and just kind of zone it in and say, I'm going to get this done and then I'm going to go do that. I get sidetracked scrolling. Already get up at 4:20. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, struggle is not being able to post answer during the workday, and then I feel like giving up family time when I'm at home. Okay, I'm going to get to that thought here in a moment about power pockets in your business. Okay, so I'm curious because I know we have some coaches that have been around a little while. Who has achieved Emerald in their business already? Yay, look at all those hands. Okay, I'm going to share a video, and I'm not going to go too into depth on this, but Emerald is the first rank in our business, and it literally means you plus two. It means that you have helped one person on each leg of your business. If you don't understand that, we have a right leg and we have a left leg. We'll get more into that later. It doesn't really matter right now. But Emerald means that you have helped two people in your business sign up as an active or discount coach, right? What this does is it opens the door to residual income. It opens the door to recognition, which is always fun to be celebrated for having a win in your business. You've helped two people, whether that is your spouse and your best friend, or your cousin and your mom, or your neighbor and, you know, the mailman, whatever it is, you've helped two people, and that's awesome. And we get to celebrate you for that. And the cool thing about recognition is it's not just you feel like you're celebrated and you're rewarded for working hard in your business, but the cool thing is that everybody who follows you on social media is starting to watch you and say, I've been seeing her post all her workouts, and I've been seeing her be more positive, and I've been seeing her talking about being a more patient mom, and like, maybe I should follow what she's doing because it seems like she's starting to have success with that, right? That's a cool part of recognition that we don't often think about. And having those wins in your business helps you really start to have confidence that you are capable of more. And the most important thing that I want to mention, good night, Savannah, that I wanted to mention about Emerald is this. Our business is a business of duplication, right? And you might look at coaches that are dinosaurs like me, and you're like, how do people get to 2-star diamond and 6-star diamond and 10-star and like whatever you follow people doing, right? Knowing how to become an Emerald coach and then be able to help someone else become an Emerald coach, guess what that means? It means that you can do anything in this business. Why? Because this business is a business of duplication. So if you can learn how to help two people, that means you know how to help two people and you know how to hit Emerald, which means you can help all the people that it takes to climb to the next rank, which is diamond, right? But more importantly, when you have a new coach join you, say you have a challenger that gets amazing results and you invite them to come check out the opportunity, you now can help your new coach learn how to become an Emerald coach, right? Because you did it. And that's the beauty in this business, is it's way simpler than we give it credit for. We often make it overcomplicated. So I want to shout you out if you already are an Emerald coach, and if you are not, we will look forward to celebrating you in the next week or so, hopefully. And I'm going to post a video in our new coach pod from my good friend Jess about hitting Emerald in 24 to 48 hours. So stay tuned for that video. Secondly, this one that I'm going to talk about now is probably going to help out with your question of saying that you can't work your business while you're at work and you're getting frustrated because when you're at home, you feel like it's cutting into your family time. Okay, this is something I've had to learn the really, really, really hard way many times, because I will admit I have burned out in my business. I have lacked boundaries in the past. I have kind of let my business run me instead of me running it. And this is why I talk to you guys about this from the get-go, because I think it is so very important. And I also think it's really important for you being able to maintain a pace that you feel joyful while you are actually enjoying and living your life at the same time, right? I feel like for a really long time, I'm a single mom. It's me. I'm a one-woman show, right? It felt really hard for me at a lot of different points in times to actually have some type of boundary between my work life and my personal life. But it is something that is more important to me than ever for now, because I feel like when you truly do rest and disconnect, you are then able to come back and work your business more focused. But for me, what's been helpful is understanding that, sometimes we say, like, I'd be curious to know how many of you think, like, oh my gosh, if I sit down to do a power hour, it takes me so long. Anybody? Because that was me for a while, the last little while, like coming off the last 2 years of some health challenges. But here's the thing, when I sit down to work my business now and I have the energy and the excitement and the intention, and I have the clarity of why why I'm building my business and where I'm going, and how, like, all the things, right, that we already talked about, I'm like, okay, I can get this done in under an hour. And like I said, then I have to mentally make sure I cut out the distractions of the scrolling and the notifications and the text messages. I would highly suggest, if you are like really squirrel brain like I am, put your phone in airplane mode when you are doing your power hour, so that you do not get texts and phone calls while you're doing it, because you will get so much more done so much faster. And as you get better at the basics, you're going to be able to do them more efficiently, right? But for me, it's more about mindset than it is about anything else when it comes to focus. Like, I have to mentally be like, right now is my focus time. This is my business time. And then when it's not and I'm done, I can kind of like unswitch that, right? But when I sit down, it's like I'm doing my connections, I'm doing my invites, I'm doing my follow-ups, I'm doing my check-ins, I'm checking in my community, I'm going down the list of my tracker, which we're going to go over on the next call. And until that is done, I don't play into the distractions, right? And that takes being intentional. But for me, it also takes working from a list. I highly recommend that you start writing out a little to-do list, whether it is a Post-it note or a notebook page. It doesn't have to be fancy. Don't trick yourself into thinking things gotta be fancy to work. They just have to work. I like to write down at the beginning of every morning, like, my to-do list is going to look very different than yours. Yours is mainly right now, be committed to your own journey, be your own best challenger, be consistent posting on social media, starting to work on your business activity tracker activities, and checking in the team page. That's about it right now, right? But if you jot down, because if you are someone that like has to mentally follow, like, this is what I do, this is what I do, or you catch that there's something you typically are starting to avoid, like where she had said in the comments that she'll catch herself scrolling instead of inviting. Sometimes that can be because you have fear about inviting, right? Or sometimes it might be because you're not exactly sure what to say. That might be a thing too. But I find it very helpful if you mentally write down like, I'm going to do 3 invites. I'm going to do 3 check-ins. I'm going to post in my challenge group. I'm going to write a social media post. And as you do them, cross them off the list. It's going to help you feel more accomplished. It's going to help you get more done. And it's going to help you, more importantly, in terms of time efficiency. Secondly, like you said, if you get home from work and all you have is 20 minutes after you get your kids to bed, what can you do effectively in that 20 minutes? Can you send 3 invites? Can you type up 2 paragraphs for a social media post for the next day? You don't have to stress that you can't respond when you're at work. That's totally fine. Like, don't compare yourself to other coaches that you see online all throughout the day. Like, I work from home full time, right? A lot of other coaches, like, they work different hours, or they have shorter schedules, or they're off on certain days. This business, if you want it to work for you, you have to find a way that it works for you. What works for me is not going to work for you. What works for Whitney is not going to work for you. But it might be something where, instead of doing an hour sitting down at once, you're finding a 10-minute pocket in the morning where you're sending out new connections, or 10 minutes on your lunch break where you're going to send out 3 invites, or 15 minutes after the kids go to bed where you're going to check into your challenge group and cheer your people on, right? This business can be done in gaps if you know intentionally what actions you want to take when you sit down to do it. So I'm going to encourage you to start working on having like a little baby to-do list for yourself every single day, and having fun crossing that off and feeling more confident as you do, because as you do, you're going to start to see results. So I like to think about it as having power pockets, because when I work my business in those power pockets, then, and I'm going to explain this quickly to you because I'm sure that some of you probably are struggling with this. Do you ever go throughout the whole day and you think, oh, I got to get my invites done. I got to get my posts done. Like, I got to check in my team page. I got to look at my challenge groups. I got to respond to that message, right? And then like 9:00 at night rolls around and you're like, I didn't get to it today. I'm a failure, or I'm struggling, or I can't do this. I can't be successful. I can't do it like her. I don't have the time, right? And that like negative chatter starts to come in, instead of thinking, I got this. I can do a little bit today, and maybe I can find more time to do it tomorrow, right? Don't do that to yourself, please. Um, but what's helpful is when you find these little pockets that I am suggesting you find in your day to put into your business, instead of feeling like you need to be on social media all day long, because you don't, and you won't like life if that's what you're doing, right? When you are on social media, are you doing your business building behaviors first, right? Because when you do those, what's going to happen is you're going to feel accomplished. You're going to know that you took actions on the most income producing, needle moving, goal driving activities for the day. And then you're mentally going to feel like, I got this. I can do this. I can learn to work this business. I can make small pockets of time for this. And then when you are present, when you pick your kids up from school, or you come home from work, or you're having dinner with your family, you don't have to feel that constant overwhelm of, there's a message that someone's responded to me and I didn't get to it today, or I didn't get my invites done, and like, oh, right? Does anybody relate to that? Yeah. So that's what I would say, is figure out what your power pockets are going to look like and where you can work those in. And for some of you, it might be that you're going to have a work pocket 3 days a week that's a little bit longer of a time. Some of you, it might be 20 minutes here and 20 minutes there. Some of you might work really long hours during the week, and Saturday and Sunday morning are going to be your jam for putting in a pocket of time to your business. Whatever works for you works. Like I said, this business is yours. You have to make it work in a way that works for you in your life. Does anybody have questions about the power pockets, or like, do you have a specific schedule that you're struggling to figure out? What'd you say, Maggie? Yes, thank you so much for watching my stories.
A specific question, but when I started coaching, I was doing remote learning, and I think Tara has the same thing. And now we're starting live on Friday, back to school. And I think I'm just like stressed out about how we just started 80-day obsession and they're like hour-long workouts. I'm like, how am I going to work out, find time to be live in school, have my daughter, and then also like continue posting as much as I've been posting, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, for sure. So there was a wake up call, maybe like, I want to say like a year ago or something. And she had this activity. It was a call about time management. And what she suggested was writing out the 24 hours in your day. Right. So like writing out the 24 hours of your whole entire day, like Monday through Friday, whatever it is, and writing in like, this is my workout hour. This is my work hours. These are the hours that I sleep. These are the hours that I'm having dinner with my family. And then look at the empty gaps that are left. Because when you find those like empty gaps of space, we might be filling them with what we had talked about earlier, like the distractions and the things that aren't serving us. And when we have clarity of like, oh, this is an empty gap of space, then we have the opportunity to intentionally fill it with like, okay, here's my 15 minutes right here, and I'm going to use that for my invites and follow-ups. Right? That might be helpful to you. And then this is also kind of probably not the answer you're expecting. But I think that there are different seasons in your life where you need to pivot and shift your journey to work around those. At least I have found that to be my experience in my own journey. Like, for example, I decided to restart MBF this week instead of continuing on with MBFA because I've had 12 hip surgeries and I was really sore and in a lot of pain. And I was like, I'm not going to commit to struggling for the next 2 weeks, because when I'm struggling and I'm in pain, I'm not having fun, and that affects how I show up on social media, and it affects my excitement in inviting people to this. So you have to do whatever program is best for you to be consistent with your journey and working towards the results you want, but also for you to maintain joy and be able to do all the other things. So I'm not by any means saying don't do 80-day obsession or don't, jump ship on that commitment if that has a real specific meaning to you or you're running a group for it or whatever. But just know that it's okay to change your mind, or it's okay to say like, I've got to step back for this and I'm going to do this instead. Like, I think for a long time as a newer coach, I was always afraid to like say, this doesn't feel good to me right now, or like you feel like you're going to disappoint somebody, right? Or you feel like you're failing by saying like, I can't see this through. And I've learned that the best thing you can do is be honest with yourself and be honest with your followers, if that is the case and you're, at some point in your business where you're like, I'm overwhelmed with life right now, and I'm going to go start doing this 20-minute program instead called Transform 20 because that aligns with my life and my schedule and the craziness right now. And that allows me to still be consistent and work towards my goals, but it allows me to keep the joy and be able to do all the other things I want to do. So give yourself permission if you ever feel like you need to switch something up, that you can. Not that I was, cheering you on for quitting 80-day, but that is an intense program and it definitely is a time commitment. Okay. Any other questions about time?
Dana, if I could just say something really quick. I just
Yep.
posted that I'm going to be starting Monday through Friday virtual gym at 6 a.m. Because I know, Kelly Riley usually posts the virtual gym times that she has. We've been pretty consistent with like 7 and 8 in the morning. But now with the kids going back to school, for me, just telling you guys, hey, I'm doing this. I'm going to be on Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. That is my accountability. So feel free to join me anytime. And even if you're like, well, I can't make 6 a.m., but I can do 6:15, whatever works for you, just commit and do it. Like,
Yep.
no excuses, just commit and do it.
I love that. No snooze crew. And I love your just kind of throwing it out there, Maggie. When you guys are looking for accountability in your business, whether it is with your fitness or with your invites or to be posting on social media, you can get creative to create that accountability for yourself. Like Maggie said, she's going to sign up to do this virtual gym, not necessarily because she wants to wake up every day at 6 a.m. and show up, but because she knows if she schedules that into her schedule, like we're talking about, that she's going to show up for it, because she's not going to make a public commitment and then not show up for it, right? But that gets other people on board with that accountability too. So you could totally do that. Like, grab one of these new coaches in the group with you and say, hey girl, do you want to be accountable Monday through Friday to getting 5 invites done a day, and let's check in on each other, right? Like, you can create that accountability for yourself if you need it, or for your 10 minutes of personal development. Share with somebody every single day what you learned from it today, something like that. The last thing that I wanted to go over, and I know we're getting late because we started a little late, is this. So I hear a lot of new coaches say, and this might resonate with you too, I'd be curious to know if it does. If you're like, I just don't know what to say, I don't really have a story. Like, I'm really not that interesting. Like, I don't have that much to share, right? First of all, everybody has a story because you've been through things in your life that have gotten you to who you are today, right? And that got you to the place of where you said yes to your journey, whether it was you wanted change physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, all the above. So you definitely have stories. And Savannah had mentioned the book down the road, obviously your 2 new coach books first that I recommended, but the book by Kendra Hall about storytelling is really great. But what I wanted to say, and this might help you make it really simple, is when you are committed to being your own best challenger, like we talked about, and you're doing your workouts and you're working on your nutrition, don't have to be perfect, but you're working on it, right? You're drinking your Shakeology every day. You're showing up in your challenge groups. You're posting on your stories. You're doing all these things, and then you have your normal life going on. All you really have to be doing is sharing that process and sharing your feelings and your experiences about it. I think so often that we tend to be like, I showed up day 1, got it done, right? But that's not necessarily going to connect with anybody because they're like looking from an outsider perspective. They don't know what you're doing. They don't know why you started it. They don't know what your goal is, or emotionally like why you decided to start that journey or commit to that program or follow that nutrition plan. And so if you look at it as, I am already taking these actions and my goal is to start sharing those with people, but my job is to connect the dots for them of where I was before I started, how I felt physically and emotionally, why I chose to do this specific fitness plan or nutrition program, or why I decided to start coaching, and connect the dots of those emotions and where it is that you see yourself going. Like, what is your goal that you've committed to that fitness program for? What is your goal for your nutrition? Like, do you want to feel more freedom with food? Like, do you want to feel more in control of stress eating? Have you never had any clue of what to eat and how much to eat to see the fitness results you want? Like, start to connect those little dots of the emotions and the feelings and the goals that you have to the things that you are already doing. And you're going to find that a lot more people start connecting with that and resonating with that and engaging with it, because it's not just, I heard someone say this the other day, it's not just like, watch me. It's like, I'm going to show you and now bring you along with me. Right. So it's a totally different thing of like, watch me and look what I'm doing versus this is what I'm doing. This is why, this is where I'm going. Would you like to come on the journey with me? And that changes everything, because all of a sudden you're going to figure out you have so many things to share because you're reading personal development and you're showing up for your journey and you're feeling inspired and energized and excited and you're being a more patient mom, all these things. Like, share those little things. They might seem small to you, but to the majority of people that are feeling stuck and helpless and hopeless and overweight and they've failed a million times before, those things are powerful, and those are going to connect to the people that you want to start connecting with. So don't feel like you need some crazy, drastic, elaborate story to start really connecting with people on social media. Just start sharing what you're doing and connecting the dots for them. And that's all I've got. So does anybody have any questions about anything we covered, or anything we didn't cover that you have like a fear, or you have a question, or how do I use share cart, or any of the good stuff? Shout them out. Allie, I'm very proud of you for getting on, by the way.
Thanks.
Yes, accountability is key. I love that. Maggie said it helps you write down your why and read it every day. Yeah. So kind of the same concept as creating a vision board too. I'm a very visual person. I like to be able to look at something every day. It motivates me. Does everybody feel like this helps you have a little bit better of an idea of where to get started and hopefully didn't overwhelm you more than you felt before? Okay, if there are no questions, awesome. If you think of them, please post them in the team page. I will get the recording up. And like I said, if you are not in our new coach pod and you want to be in it, just feel free to PM me on Facebook and I will get you added into that. I will send you the Emerald video as I promised. And then I will let you guys know. I'm not really too sure yet when I'm going to schedule these in because I just decided to go for it now that my son went back to school and I have some mental energy again. But I'm going to plan them pretty quickly to follow the live power hour so that you guys can hop on and we can literally go through the business activity tracker together, how to connect with people, how to, start new conversations, how to invite to challenge groups, how to invite to meet the team coaching events, how to overcome objections, those basic things so that you feel more confident in those skills to start taking action on them. Don't hesitate to start taking action on them already though, right? Because you don't need to know everything. And then, like I said, the next call after that is going to be the basics of social media. So with that in mind, if you have any specific questions about social media, whether it be like, filtering your photos or hashtags or how to connect to the women that you're looking to reach out to, whatever, keep a little note of those for me because I'm probably going to ask you for feedback on those before I start. And I will let you guys know when the next 2 calls are going to be. And I'm excited about this. So I hope it was helpful. Glad to see you guys all on tonight. And I'm excited to see where this takes you. We will see you tomorrow night because it's team call night. Bye, ladies.